Tennessee took home a pretty big victory tonight. Felt like it could have been bigger, but the Wofford Fighting Terriers stayed in this game tonight. I'm Caleb Jarreau. That's Eric Woods. We're here with the Daily Beacon, recapping another Tennessee men's basketball game. This one, Tennessee took home an 82-61 win. Eric, what would you say would be your biggest takeaway from tonight?
I mean, it's getting really repetitive, but it's the transfers again. I could be a little more creative in finding a different angle, but I mean, that's been the story of the season. Dalton Knecht, 18 points, Jordan Gainey, 16 points off the bench. There's no other players making a bigger impact this year, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I thought Wofford today played a really good game. I mean, I knew they weren't like Lenore Ryan or Tennessee Tech,
but they could shoot the ball.
They could shoot the ball. Their offense looked really good. I mean, they were making it difficult on the Tennessee defense. They were making difficult shots, but they were also getting a lot of open shots that they didn't hit. So, I mean, you look and they made things really difficult. You saw the ball movement, dribble drive, and then they out-rebounded Tennessee in the first half and killed the offensive glass. So, but Tennessee, they just out-physicaled them in the second half, and it worked.
Yeah, we'll get to rebounds here later, but I want to get to some guys who aren't transfers. Zakai Ziegler had your second highest plus-minus behind Dalton Knecht tonight with 19. He only scored 3 points on a single three-pointer, but he was impacting the game elsewhere. You also had Santiago Vescovi, a guy who kind of was trying to find his place with this team against Wisconsin and against Tennessee Tech early in the year. And tonight you kind of finally found him, I guess, hit his stride again. He had 11 points on 4 of 7 from the field. Kind of looked like the old Santiago Vescovi we thought and the Vescovi we know. And now we kind of see him finding his place in this offense among the transfers, among the Jordan Gainey and Dalton Knecht, who are having so much success. And I think Tobe Awaka put it best tonight that Santiago knows what the team needs, and he's just going to be that. Now, he doesn't have to run the offense like he did a year ago. He doesn't have to try to find a point when there's lulls. And there were scoring droughts tonight, but Jordan Gainey kind of provided that spark, which I kind of want to go to next. Jordan Gainey was the first guy to sub in, came in with Tobe Awaka, gave this team a spark. What is it about Jordan Gainey's play that's kind of igniting this offense when he comes into the game?
I mean, it's just he's not afraid to take the shot. You know, you see a lot of guys who they're getting the dribble drive. They might have a pull-up opportunity. They might have a three that's open, but there's a slight contest on it that they don't want to shoot. Jordan Gainey's not afraid to shoot it, and he's hitting him, and that makes this team's ceiling even higher, because when there's an offensive drought, like you said, he's not afraid to shoot it, and that's the biggest thing Tennessee needs, is a guy who wants to shoot the ball and wants to knock it down. And I mean, that's gonna prove to be a huge point moving forward for them.
Yeah, and you mentioned rebounding earlier, Eric. Wofford was out-rebounding Tennessee for a while there, especially on the offensive glass. The second chance points and those offensive rebounds kind of felt like they were keeping Wofford in the game for a while there, along with the three-pointers. And I think some of those offensive boards you can contribute to Wofford taking long three-pointers, and you get not the non-traditional rebounds that bounce back out to the three-point line and just not where your center is standing. But then we see Tennessee come out of halftime, and like Tobe Awaka said, they put bodies on bodies and started getting those rebounds. What was your biggest takeaway from that difference in the first half to second half that kind of led Tennessee to start getting rebounds, and when they got defensive stops, get the rebound, go in transition, and start putting this game away?
I mean, the rebounding in this team goes through Tobe Awaka. That's pretty much it. I mean, you turned to me in the middle of the game after they're struggling on the boards, and they went small, which I didn't. I mean, they're experimenting with different lineups, but I didn't think small was the way to go when you're struggling on the boards. If you're not having any trouble on the boards and you just want to play fast and try and get some shots up, then go for it. But I mean, after that,
and it was small with Jonas Adu on the
exactly.
floor.
I mean, he's 6'11",
but he's not. Yeah, and he's not your rebounder. He's not your Tobe Awaka who's rebounding all the time and kind of getting that job done. And I thought the same thing. That small lineup kind of threw me off. If I remember correctly, it was Jemai, Dalton, who's not really small, but comparatively. And then you had Jonas at the 5, which then again, you don't have a 4 to help him out. And then we see, and I was just looking at the stat sheet, when you see Josiah Jordan-James come in at the 4, now you have a Jonas Adu or Tobe Awaka at the 5 and a Josiah Jordan-James at the 4. He had 7 rebounds tonight. Jonas finished with 7. Tobe finished with 6. So you see that kind of help out. And especially tonight, I feel like a Josiah Jordan-James helped rebound better because he's quicker than some of the centers. He's not pinned down in the post. So when those long rebounds fly out, you do get those boards.
I want to say he averaged some over 4 boards a game last year, something like that. So
Yeah, and Barnes talked about tonight how he expects Dalton Knecht to get a lot more rebounds than he has. He's averaging 3, and he wants him to use that 6'6" frame. I think he's listed at 6'6", but it feels like he's a lot bigger than 6'6".
Yeah.
And he's making his impact felt on offense. He made his impact felt on defense tonight. Now he just needs to get in the post and get rebounds, which is what Rick Barnes is looking for out of him now. Kind of last thing, Eric, Zakai Ziegler didn't score a lot of points, but kind of started to look like his old self, impacting the game everywhere except maybe the scoring category. Let's wrap up with him. What did you see out of him coming back from the PCL injury?
You can't teach speed. That's about it. I mean, he's a guy who, I mean, he caught the ball, like we were talking about earlier, the dribble drive. He caught the ball, ripped right past him, guy crashes in, dish it out, 3. And it's not always going to go in, but that's a huge threat. And then,
but with this team, I don't mean to cut you off, Eric, but with this team, those 3s are going in a lot more.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So his offense is working even better.
Yeah, and then when those 3s do fall, they're not going to crash on him. You saw that a couple times with Santi on a couple of those layups. And, I mean, he's quick, and there's no way his shot's not going to start falling. He's going to start scoring the ball, and that's what makes his team even more, for lack of a better word, scary. I mean, you have guys who in Santiago Vescovi, Kai Ziegler, who are their leading returning scorers from last year. I mean, you had Olivier Comwan there at number 2, but 2 returning leading scorers. You know what I'm trying to say. And they're not scoring that well, and there's no reason to. History says they're going to start scoring. So, I mean, that's about it.
You're right. And this offense has shown flashes of not firing on all cylinders. We talked about going small, experimenting with that lineup. Like you said, Santiago Vescovi, Zakai Ziegler have not hit their strides yet offensively, and we know they have that in them.
And they're still scoring 80 points.
Exactly. So once this offense gets firing on all cylinders and they have lineups that work offensively, like you said, it's dangerous. And you can run a lot more plays, because if I remember correctly, last year he would have that drive, everybody would crash in the paint, and you'd kick out and it'd be a brick.
Yeah.
And the other team would go in transition.
The only shooter last year was pretty much Santiago Vescovi.
Yeah. And that handicapped the offense. Now you have Jordan Gainey, Dalton Knecht. We've seen Jemai Meshack take steps up on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, this offense is looking very good, and once they put the pieces together, which they have to, because now they're going to Honolulu to play 2 of the teams out of the 3, but all 3 are like national championship
I think
teams.
they're all top 10.
Yeah, exactly. So this team has to learn how to find that offense consistently, I guess would be the right word to say, and they have to find it quick. So we won't be back in here for 3 weeks, but there's a trip to North Carolina on the horizon. We're not going to Hawaii. I know everybody's bummed about that.
Sorry.
But for Eric Woods, I'm Caleb Jarreau. This is another production of the Daily Beacon Sports podcast, post-game, whatever you want to call it, network.